As I was running around Grant Park that morning, I was also thinking about my dear friend Raymond King. You may have read recently in the Atlanta paper, Raymond King is the new president and CEO of Zoo Atlanta. And Raymond is so excited. He worked for years in SunTrust and is just an amazing member of the Atlanta community, the Atlanta business community. Raymond was tapped to go and lead that great institution, our Atlanta Zoo. And I remember back years ago when Willie B was the big attraction and that poor animal would be in that concrete surround, and now we have that beautiful habitat for those gorillas and all the other animals. And Shannon and Zach and I love to go to the zoo. Shannon loves the elephants and just wants to go and pet the elephants, which I don't understand, but she loves the elephants and wants to go pet them. Raymond was so funny because he doesn't want to feel like a big geek running around the zoo because it's just all new and all cool. But one morning he said he was just so excited, like his second or third morning, and he got up and he got there so early, and he's got a special golf cart that he can ride around the zoo. And so one morning before any of the guests had arrived at the zoo, Raymond hopped in his golf cart, and he was riding along just listening to the sounds and seeing the sights of the zoo as the animals came away because they were beginning to be fed and led out into their habitats. And as he drove up toward where the lion enclosure is, he could hear the lion just roaring at the top of its lungs. If any of you have been to the zoo, you know that the lion's just really kind of lazy. Have you ever been to the zoo? Usually that lion's just laying up on that rock. He's as lazy as he can be, doing nothing, saying nothing. Well, this morning, the lion was just roaring like crazy, going nuts. And Raymond drove up to see what was going on. He got up there. The lion was laying there sound asleep. Apparently, the lion was having a dream before he woke up. Maybe he was dreaming about chasing an animal through the safari or just the steak that would be prepared for him for breakfast. We've got to hear. We've got to listen. We've got to know what it is that God is calling us to do. As I was looking over the commentaries for this particular text this morning, I came across this note in one of my commentaries. The participants, that's us. As we think about this text, as we think about the race that's set before us, the participants, all of us gathered in this place, are surrounded by a crowd who are not merely spectators, but who themselves have already run the race and presumably have won. It is as if those who are surrounding the track have finished their race, have passed on the baton, and have gathered to shout and cheer for their teammates running the next leg of the race. For many, many years, great and faithful people have served this church. Those people have passed the baton this morning to us. That cloud of witnesses is joined all around us. They are cheering, and they want our very best. They expect our very best. They and you have worked and labored hard and faithfully to bring this church to the place that it is today. So we take the baton. We run the race proudly. Now, next week, we'll talk about the fact that we don't just run without any direction. We will look toward a vision of serving in this community and beyond. We'll get our arms around getting out into the community, because for every place that we see around here, there are names of people that belong in this place. I don't know those names yet, but you know them. They're those that with whom you work and those that live around you and those that are just beyond these walls that for some reason have not yet heard the good news about what a joy it is to worship here and what a greater joy it is to serve here and beyond. We need to find those people. That cloud of witnesses expects us to move forward in ways that they never could have imagined, in ways that will bring glory to God and thanksgiving to His heart. Over the past few years, I've been working on my Doctor of Ministry degree at the Wesley Theological School in Washington, D.C. My mentor and my reader there is Lovett Weems. Lovett is an elder from the Mississippi Conference and served faithfully there and did great work during the time of integration and during time of civil rights, and integrated a church in Mississippi, and then went on to be a president of our seminary in Kansas City at St. Paul, and now leads the Lewis Institute for Church Leadership in our nation's capital. Been working on church leadership there, and one of his books talks about taking the next step, and it's all about leadership and how it is that we work through times of transition. And one of the quotes in there that I think most adequately describes where we are in this place today and how we are going to move forward is from a student, David Clewell, who wrote in his dissertation these words: "If the goal is to write a new chapter in the congregation's story, then it is essential that the story be thoroughly understood and respected, and that the new chapter pick up and advance the plot, language, themes, and characters that made up the previous chapters. It is important and essential that the story be thoroughly understood and respected." As I said, it's my job to learn, to understand the story, to know the story, to give thanks for the history that is ours. I need to know how it is that we arrived at this place in this time. I will tell you, I already respect it more than you can understand. I watched Jim's sermon last week, and in his sermon he told you that words could not describe how excited I am to be here, and he was absolutely correct. You cannot understand how excited it is to be in the city, to serve, as Bob Osment wrote in his note to me, the mother church of Methodism in Atlanta. Wally Stevens, who's our pastor in Dunwoody, told somebody when he found out I was coming here, he said, "Charles Gardner may be the only person in Methodism that can say what church he serves, and there's no question about where it is. I serve the Atlanta First United Methodist Church in the heart of the city, right downtown. It's not hard to find us. It shouldn't be hard for people to come and join us in service, in worship, and in all that God calls us to do. It's essential that the story be thoroughly understood and respected. And this next chapter cannot be written unless it advances the theme and plots that have already taken place. The theme of service, the theme of gratitude, the theme of giving back, the theme of modeling Christ to the city and beyond, being the church that God called us to be in this place. This church organized in 1848, sitting on this corner, as Pierce Harris said, at the corner of Peachtree and Porter Place. But maybe now we say at the corner of Peachtree and Ivan Allen Jr. and Ralph McGill and Porter Place, and who knows where people will come from to join us in this place, right where God has put us. The previous chapters are important, but the next chapter may be the most important. For if someone is going to pick up the book 20 or 30 years from now, we must continue to be the church that God has called us to be. We must continue with the ways that God has shown us, and we must find new ways to serve God. We must find new ways to invite new people to come and be with us and serve alongside of us. We must find God's way for each of us. Before I read Dr. Osmond's note last night, I had read Jim's cover last week, and he said the best is yet to come, and I went, wow. That is just overwhelming and humbling to think about the history of this church and all the great things that have happened from this pulpit, from these walls and from these halls and in these streets. Downstairs at MAC, the Midtown Assistance Center, a vital part of our church and our ministry. The best is yet to come, and I thought about that, and it was overwhelming, and the burden of that was weighing heavy on my shoulders when I realized something.